Last was it this week? This week I had this girl who came to one of our clinics, and then she's been having these seizures. No, there was a history of seizures in the past, but since 2010 she's never had any episode. So she was coming in just to be checked, but neurological problems. Or the word neurologic comes from nerves.
Between the brain
comes from
and
nerves. The simple thing is nerves. The body has thousands and thousands of like wires. For the layman, let me use wires in the body, and these wires are moving along the body, like the muscles and the bones, and what the body does is that we have those nerves that sense, and what they do is they sense there is a change of temperature, change of maybe change of usually change of temperature, or they sense some changes in the physical infrastructure. It could be like even senses. They could sense that here there is a dip. You know, like even the way the legs move, you know, there is a communication between the organ. It could be the hand or the leg. If there is pain or change of temperature, what the hand will do, it will sense. So that communication is sent to the brain, and then there is another communication from the brain now to the muscles and the bones. That communication is there is some heat, so remove that hand from hot water. Could be the hot water. Then that communication communicates to the body, and there is the muscles that are move the hand. So that is a cycle. That's a cycle. Starts from the stimulant. The stimulant could be
which
like
in this
heat.
Case is a hot surface.
A hot surface. Could be a hot cup like this. So then that is communicated to the brain, and then the brain sends another communication. So there is the sensory nerve and the motor nerves. So those are two different kinds of nerves. The nerves the nerves that do motor, they are the ones that move the body, all the organ. It could be not the whole body. It could be just the hand, or just the leg, or the eyes. Even the eyes. Just close your eyes, there is a sharp object that is coming. So there is the motor and then the sensory. The sensory could be there are very sensitive areas in your body where you can be able to sense a change of like temperature. Like for example, you can't be able to feel something very well with at the back of your hand. You know, like you can't be able to feel it very well from the back of hand. But if you use the front and the fingers, the senses that are there are much stronger. So what happens with epilepsy is that the communication is not coordinated. That communication is very coordinated. The way God made us, you know, we are made in a very complicated way, that the body is able to sense and react within a fraction of a second. A fraction of a second. That communication goes like quite fast. So what happens in neurological changes, that communication is either cut or there's excesses. There are excesses. Like the communication is quite strong.
So that's when you have seizures.
That's when you have seizures. What happens is that the epileptic patients will tell you that I saw a lot of light. You know, like there was like the way you have something flashing on you, a visual representation that is exaggerated. So there's a lot of communication, and what happens is that the body will get confused because there's a lot of communication. If you're getting one movement, so there is multiplication of those. If the sense like if they sense something like a hot object, I expect just one communication to go to the brain and then comes back. So for them, they have like a million communication. So there is an excess of that, or even the communication is not the way it's supposed to be. So there is a problem. And sorry, maybe this is very complicated, but it can be very simple. For patients who've been diagnosed to have epilepsy, these communications could be triggered by something. It could be a fear of something, so the body panics. Fear of something, either fear to be beaten. I used to see when I was in school, one of my friends, we were schooling together. Whenever a teacher would say, "I'm going to cane you," that girl would go into epileptic. So there are those things that trigger. It could be a lot of light. So if your eyes see the lights, so the body like exaggerates that, then you get an episode of epilepsy. And even for this viewer who has temporary memory loss, there could be a trigger. It could be psychological, and that's why then there is the linkage, the linkage between if someone is not happy or someone is given bad news, then that's a trigger. So it could be a psychological issue, or maybe someone hates them. They see someone who they don't like. The emotions now connect with the physical. But epilepsy, it's purely physical. The communications and the neurons, those are things that we can target. For treatment, what we do for this, especially the drugs that we have in the market, is that the drugs are able to minimize the communication.
Where the communication is in excess?
Yeah, the body is able to balance all that. The body is able to balance all that. And like I said in our first, you remember the first question that we were addressing about the electrolytes? Yeah. So the electrolytes, if they are not balanced, if you have excesses of like sodium and calcium, and I think nitrate, are very important components for the nerves. So if you have little of those, if you have more of those, the body and the drugs are able to balance all that, so that we can control the neurological function of the body. Yeah.
Then, just briefly, as we finish this one, there is the issue of the profuse sweating.
Yes.
I don't know how that could be explained.
The profuse sweating, and for severe cases, like I say, there is even foaming, like getting foam out of your mouth. These are the symptoms that come from the body now not functioning well. The sweating, it's related to the function of the body. Like I said, there are miscommunications. This is a huge trigger. There is a problem here. The body communicates, and then the sweating comes. And I said, like, for extreme cases, we have even foaming. The sweating is the mild one. And actually, epileptic patients will tell you, it starts with sweating. Mostly, it starts with sweating. And then there is the jerky movement of the legs and the hands. And then it ends with foaming. And the tongue comes out. So that is sort of like the movement. So like this viewer is on the milder ones that stops with sweating and the memory loss. So it could get worse. It could go to, and again, we need to tell our viewers, if you have these signs, it's easier. It's common, and we've seen it. It's common to progress to severe forms of epilepsy. So it's good to have treatment now.
This is a case that really needs to be checked out.
Yes. This is not something that we can ignore. Like I said, there could be an underlying problem. If the underlying problem is a tumor, then it needs to be fixed. Once you're able to fix it early enough, then you can remove. You can actually heal, completely heal the problem. But if it's not physical cause, like probably neurological, then we could treat. We could, even for these ones, the viewer needs some treatment.
Okay. Right, I think we've learnt a lot.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
great.
that's all for today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Yeah. You have been watching the MedFiles program. I hope you've learnt a lot from what the doctor has told us and what the doctor has taught us today. I have been your host, Marianne Waisha. Remember that you can send us messages of what you think about this show or any issues that you'd like us to cover in the MedFiles program, either using the SMS number on your screen, that is 33220, or alternatively, you could send us an email using the address medfiles@threestones.tv. Do join us next time.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.